Welcome to the Warrior Mindset Podcast. We're your guide as you make your way through life, getting better 1% every day. We believe that life is lived and true victory won through adversity. Nothing easy is ever worth it. We believe in the warrior ethos and support those that choose to walk that path.
All right, what's up, y'all? Gonna do this post. I've been wanting to do this for a couple of months. It's a year-end book review. Some of the, in my opinion, the best books that I've gone through so far in 2022. See what you think. I've got links in the post to all these books. If you want to buy them, please use the link. It gives us a little support as well, so that would be great. And it's also right here at Christmas time. Books always make the best Christmas gift, especially some of these. So I don't know, I've got 20 or so books I wanted to go through here for you. We're going to pull them right up here in Amazon because who doesn't buy stuff from Amazon? The first one is this book, Breathe, about Rickson Gracie. So if you train martial arts at all, if you train Jiu-Jitsu in particular, this is a great book about a really great Jiu-Jitsu practitioner and father of the sport, Rickson Gracie. Goes through a lot of their family's history and a lot of his background and approach to life. It's a fascinating family, and there's some weird stuff in there too. So that's definitely one. If you are a martial arts practitioner, that you'll probably get a kick out of. The next one on the list, The Gift of Fear, the paperback is what I got for this one. This is a great, by Gavin de Becker. This is apparently this is like one of the more faster selling, more well-known self-defense sort of books. It's really great, particularly for, I would say, women's self-defense mentality, but it also is useful for everyone who is sort of thinking about protecting themselves and stuff. It talks a lot about perception and reading pre-contact cues before things happen, and he does that in a way of some scary storytelling about things that sort of sear some of these moments in your brain and really drive it home. Some of the thoughts and approaches that he has in this. I think if you are a teacher of any kind, or you are concerned about self-defense, or that approach to being safe in your life, I think this is a great read for you, and it's a good gift for someone that you might care about as well. Highly recommend it. I got this. I bought this as a gift, and I turned around and bought one for myself too. It's the Book of Five Rings, special edition, boxed special edition. It's beautiful. It's got some really great classic illustrations and beautiful illustrations in it, as well as I really like the interpretation of it as well, and the way it's set up. Again, if you're a traditional martial arts practitioner or strategic thinker, this is a good one to have in your collection. And this makes a wonderful gift as well. The way it looks, it's definitely collectible as well, being one of the all-time classics in terms of strategic thinking and mindset for the martial artist. Another one here that I just love, that a friend of mine turned me on to early in the year, that I have wound up buying probably 20 copies of to give out to my students at a certain point in their journey. Chop Wood, Carry Water by Joshua Medcalf. The audiobook is very good for this too. The written word is always better as a gift. You can make notes in the front of it and stuff. If you're an instructor of a martial art, if you practice martial arts, if you're just generally on a journey of some sort in life, this is a great book that teaches you, uh, like it says, how to fall in love with the process of becoming the best version of yourself and to keep things in perspective at all times in life. It is just a great book for that person that is on that self-discovery journey, as well as yourself. This one's fun. The Marine Corps Martial Arts Program, MCMAP. I've studied this before myself, and this version is really a good version with imagery and explanations. And it really is the entire program from white belt to black belt in terms of the Marine Corps Martial Arts Program. I have several friends that I've trained with that have gone through this program at differing levels, in the Marines, and that they've showed me some things and I've trained with them. And then the book really does go along well with that Marine Corps approach and the Marine Corps mentality. It's a great read. I don't know how great of a gift it makes, because it is kind of weird and sort of fringe in terms of books that you give people, even practicing martial artists. But it is fascinating, and if you have been practicing martial arts for a while of any kind, traditional Japanese styles, or jiu-jitsu of any kind, you'll find things that in this, and it's a great review and also a way to sort of validate some of your training too. Because if the Marines are teaching their men, their men and women this, then that it's has validity. But it's a really good version with the imagery and stuff. This is Tim Kennedy's book. This came out later in the year this year, The Scars and Stripes. I don't know if you're a fan of this guy, Tim Kennedy. He's the Hard to Kill dude. He's been a UFC fighter for a long time. He's in the Army. He's gone around the world, and his life story is interesting if you are into that sort of thing. He definitely, it is definitely an unapologetic story of his life. He's very proud. A lot of it comes off borderline arrogant at times, but I don't think he really is. I think he is really just the real deal, and he's telling his stories. The audiobook is very good as well. I read this and I listened to the audiobook. He narrates it himself. It's a great story. There's just some really good stories in general in it if you're into this kind of thing. And I'm a fan of his too. Another one along these lines is Endure by Cameron Haynes. He is a ultra marathoner, a bow hunter out of the northwest part of the country. He is a hard worker, and I'm just really impressed with the man and his approach to life. And he's got a great story as well, and a great approach to life. And we can all learn a lot from him. It's a pretty well done book in terms of its layout and approach, the way it does chapters and tells chapters of his life. The audiobook is good as well. He narrates it himself as well. It's a good listen. It's also, if you're on a long trip, it's a good read as well. Again, I read this and listened to the audiobook. This is in my opinion, would make a great gift. I can't recommend this book enough. I can't recommend Following the Man enough as well. If you like people like David Goggins and things, if you like that type of mindset, he is like a very chill, very humble version of David Goggins. And I think you'll like him. This one's a little weird. It's outside the norm. John Danaher, he is a jiu-jitsu martial artist. He's coached a lot of the best. He's coached George St. Pierre in the UFC, as well as Gordon Ryan, currently, considered one of the best jiu-jitsu competitors in the world. It's not written by him. It's written by someone else who's sort of collected, or I don't know if it was an interview or what. It's like a self-published book. But if you have a friend that's into jiu-jitsu in particular, this would make a nifty little gift. There's like 4 or 5 of these. This is episode. This is like edition 1. There's like 4 or 5 different editions or I don't know, releases with different things in it. I find him a fascinating to have a fascinating mind in the way he weaves in a lot of traditional thoughts and approaches to a rather modern feeling sport. And I thought it was a pretty good read. And I want to do a whole episode on a lot of his thoughts and stuff in it eventually. It's that good. So again, if you have a friend or someone who does train jiu-jitsu, I don't know if this really would apply outside of that world necessarily, because it's very heavy into jiu-jitsu, but it is fascinating for a martial artist as well. This one came out early in the year, I believe. Feeding the Frasers, sort of a different vibe of book here. If you have a friend who's into fitness, works out, maybe does CrossFit or some kind of functional fitness training, who's just into that lifestyle, this is a great book. This is from Matt Fraser and his wife, Sammy, and it's the fuel that he used, that she made him because she was one of his coaches, his cook. It's all the stuff that she makes for him, fittest man in the world, like 5 times over. So aside from that, the recipes are delicious. I've made a bunch of these over the year. It's a great cookbook. It's, again, specifically for people who are health conscious. It's a good gift for that. This is cool, little Jocko cool workbook that goes along with the book Extreme Ownership. If you have a friend that's into this kind of thing, or if you're into this kind of thing and you have some of Jocko's stuff, or maybe you've read the Extreme Ownership, or you listen to his podcast a lot or whatever, you could get this and the Extreme Ownership book and give them to someone or for yourself as well together. This is the workbook that goes along with the Extreme Ownership book. And it's a pretty cool workbook. You could use it by itself, but after reading that book and going through some of these pages, it really breaks some stuff down as far as actionable things from those chapters. And I've used it. I've read both the book, listened to Jocko's stuff all the time, and have worked through a lot of this workbook and used a lot of things from this workbook for teams that I work with, as well as people I coach at the gym and business coaching as well. It's excellent and very, very fun if you're into the self-help sort of thing. Here's another one. Matt Fraser's book himself. It came out middle of the year, I think. Hard Work Pays Off. It's sort of his 5-time fittest man on the earth story and approach to how he accomplished all that stuff. It's a really cool book. This paired with the Feeding the Frasers would be a great stack gift for somebody. I would say this thing has how to do workout movements, workouts, his training approach, eating approach, resting approach, and then he has these pages that are like this with this stuff in it, breaking down movements and stuff. And the illustrations are really fun in it, but he has that stuff sort of split up with telling his story. He's been on a lot of podcasts like Joe Rogan and stuff, and he's told that story, but you can kind of read it and then get it juxtaposed with, the reference that he makes to like workouts and approaches and stuff. It's a very cool book. And I would like to see more books done like this, because he made it like it's his story. Yeah. But it's also like a manual, a training manual. And I could see people like carrying this thing around, trying to be like Matt Fraser. And, there's worse things you can do if you're trying to better yourself. It's a great gift. This one's been out a long time, but I just picked it up at the beginning of the year. It's Mind Over Muscle, writings from the founder of Judo, of Jigoro Kano. There's a few of these. It's like a series, but this is like his treatise on Judo and the things that he put into that martial arts practice, posthumous writings and things like that. If you're a meditative sort, you're into martial arts or something, this is a really cool collector's item, as well as a cool read to go through for yourself, much like the Danaher Diaries sort of a thing, except this is Jigoro Kano, much older martial artist, a legend. So it's a neat book to have of someone in the legend. Here's one, this Jay Shetty guy. I always sort of dismissed him. I would see him on talk shows and things and just kind of dismissed him. But I read through his book and I read his story, and he's got a fascinating story of being a monk. He lived like a monk for a long time, and this is sort of his thoughts on and approach to life. It's another pretty good audiobook as well, and he narrates it himself, which is a cool trend that I like to see. But after reading this, I then went back and consumed a lot of other things with him, other podcasts and shows that he was on, and he's got a remarkable mind for just self improvement and training your mind and finding peace in life. And I'm now a fan of his after reading his book. It's a solid one. Ryan Holiday, it's like he cranks out a book every couple of quarters or maybe every quarter. Courage is Calling is one of the more recent ones. This is another great gift for someone who's sort of a self-help minded person. He's, Ryan Holiday is the Stoic author, writes about the Stoic virtues and Marcus Aurelius and other, things like that. It's a good, this is like a good handbook on how to apply that Stoic mindset to living a life of courage. It's a short read. He usually writes kind of dense in terms of this stuff. By dense, I mean like I would say like thick words to kind of slog through, but it's short and to the point as well. So it really works. And a lot of times it can be prosy and stuff because of the quotes from the Stoics, but it's worth your time. And this is another good one to give someone too, I think. All right. Dave Grohl, the storyteller. I first listened to this as an audiobook. Someone gave me this book as a gift, and I kind of sat it on the shelf, and then was on a long trip, and I was like, oh, I have that book. And I just got the audiobook from Audible and listened to it and got about halfway through it and then went and read the rest of it to finish it. It's wonderful stories. This is a good gift too. He narrates it himself in the audiobook. It's some really great stories. He's a pretty cool dude and very down to earth, human. Even though he's been in two of the biggest bands on the planet in the past couple of decades. So if you're a fan of his or if someone's a fan of his, they probably already have this book, but it is definitely worth your time, in my humble opinion. The last book I have on here, Sea Stories by Admiral William McRaven. He's the make your bed guy, the famous speech Navy SEAL admiral, Navy SEAL head honcho. So Sea Stories is like a collection of stories of his as it relates to his life working through the Navy and how it applies to you living a life of honor and courage. And it is another one that's pretty solid for like a young man or someone who's about to sort of go through, something in life. And, again, it's a good hand me out to somebody. Solid book. That's it for my list. There's a lot of stuff here. Again, I'll make, this was a quick one. I'll make this post and I'll link all the books up for you. Hopefully you'll get a couple of these and I'll run into you somewhere and we can talk about what you thought about it. Maybe get you on for a podcast episode or something. So I appreciate it. I hope this helps with some of the gift buying too, or for your own collection. And until next time, get after it, y'all.